Now, there's a player last season who came in, did a job, helped us win a premiership, had a really good final series, but now he's just not passing the eye test. Welcome back to the Just Sub Footy YouTube channel. Today we're going to talk about the game that was last night between Collingwood and St Kilda. St Kilda obviously running out eventual winners, 94-79 for a 15-point margin. Where do we start? Where did it all go wrong for Collingwood? I'd probably suggest a few things. One being some players individually are down on form big time, and we'll talk about them later in this segment. We also had that third quarter where St Kilda were able to waltz from defence to forward with ease through our zone, and that's something we take pride in last season, and I don't know where it's gone so far this season. And then just our turnovers, our clangers. I think last year we averaged 58 clangers per game. We're averaging 67 right now over the first 3 games. That's just essentially, if you want to break it down into its purest form, it's just 9 really bad mistakes that we have to compensate for live in the game. And that's very difficult. Turnovers are hard to defend. So if we're giving up 9 more than what we were doing last season, that makes a big difference in how our defense stands up and talks to why we're conceding 100 points per game over the last 3 games. Obviously, the most difficult thing about this situation that Collingwood are in is the fact that there's so many spot fires when it comes to what's going wrong with Collingwood right now that it's not going to be a quick turnaround. And it doesn't work out for Collingwood because now we're 0-3. So now we're talking top 4's gone. Okay, what about top 8 now? And obviously top 4 is a chance, but it's very unlikely as you're going 0-3. So we're looking at an uphill battle while we're trying to amend things. There were a few ticks last night, and I'll talk more to that as we further dissect the game. But there's still a lot of things going wrong, and you can't fix that in over the course of 7 days. So Collingwood fans, we need to be patient. I know we want results, but we can't expect this instant gratification. It doesn't always work out the way it's supposed to, and we need to ride those waves. I think something that was really evident last night was the anxiety imbued in the stadium. I could just feel like the murmurs, the energy that was permeating in the stadium. I wasn't even there, but you could just feel it. And that permeates into the team. They feel that. So really, where can it start? What can I do as an individual when I'm at the games or when I'm posting on social media? Well, it's to be a bit more optimistic and positive and not to moan during the game when I'm at the stadium, because the players hear that. There needs to be a different sort of approach to it. I know naturally when things are going wrong, we're going to be pessimistic, we're going to complain, we're going to do this, we're going to do the other. But it really goes a long way if we can turn those moans into applauses, some cheerful, constructive, encouraging, reinforcing that we're here as a 23rd player to support the team through good, through bad, through horrible, through great. So it really can start at a spectator's level, at a fan level. So talking to that third quarter where we were comprehensively beaten by St Kilda's elite kicking skills, using their uncontested possessions and breaking down our zone pass by pass. They ended up scoring 7 goals from D50 to forward 50. And when we think about those clangers that I was talking about, when we're making 9 more clangers and then we're allowing teams to move the ball against us, when you lose a game by less than 3 goals, these are the things that matter. It's so marginal. The smallest margins in the biggest of games make a great difference and is the difference between winning and losing. So that's what we're really lacking so far this season, and nothing will change results-wise if those little things aren't addressed. So from a team perspective, just being able to defend in the zone better, knowing when to play off your player. With the ball, when we had opportunities to go, I felt like there were times where St Kilda were able to halt us. And I think, again, it was more Collingwood's own doing with our poor disposal efficiency. Talking to the clangers that I mentioned just before, and then when they don't work out a few times, we have to change the way we go about it in the next play. We started to go wide, we started to slow down the game a bit, but we're still not quite used to that because it's not something we've done in the past. So when I talk about taking time to adjust to things and it won't necessarily result in a positive outcome being a win, when you learn to play wide and slow it down, those things will take time. So that's why there's so many things that need changing, it's not going to happen overnight, unfortunately. Now, talking to some of the individual performances that really need highlighting and addressing moving forward, starting with Geordie De Goey, I want to talk about his effort and desire in the game. If you are watching the game and understand what it takes to play at a high level, you can see De Goey sort of just waltzes around. He isn't really applying the greatest amount of pressure. He never has done that, to be fair, but his numbers are down in general. We talk disposals, 23 disposals down to 18. We were hoping for that to go up rather than slightly down. I know it's early in the season, but these 3 games are going to illustrate a large part of our story moving forward now. 0-3. And we can't have Jordan De Goey averaging 18 disposals over those 3 games. What's more concerning is his lack of being able to put his head over the ball and win those ground balls. He averaged 6.6 ground ball gets last season. They're currently down to 3.7. For reference, Pendles, the 36-year-old, is averaging 6.7 ground ball gets compared to De Goey's 3.7. It's just not acceptable in the trajectory of both those players' careers. If anything, Pendlebury should be declining, and De Goey, after a great year, a premiership year, should be percolating even more now, but it's not. It's trending the other way. And talking to De Goey's pressure, 3.2 tackles last year, down to 1.7. So is it a lack of desire? Is it a lack of hunger? Is he tired from a big season last year? Do we consider playing him forward, a more 60-40, 60 mid-40 forward moving forward now, and allow players like Finn McRae, who has been begging to have an opportunity to start the game, and I think he gets that next week. He has to now. And even Bo, who was trialled in the preseason as a midfielder, and I think it was Selwood who mentioned that he's a real break glass in case of emergency to go into the midfield. Well, now's the time. This is the emergency time, and the glass needs to be broken, and Bo needs to put in there. I'll talk more further to what Bo can offer in our midfield in just a moment. Now, there's a player last season who came in, did a job, helped us win a premiership, had a really good final series, but now he's just not passing the eye test. The way the game is evolving right now, less tackles being applied, players are just running past him with ease. It's time to bleed the youth, and I'm talking about Tom Mitchell. Like I said, love what he did for us last season, had an outstanding final series, but as I said, the game's moving faster, we need to bleed the youth. Get Finn McRae in, get Bo McCreary, as I've just mentioned. Lockie Sullivan, get him in. Ed Allen, he wouldn't be too far away. There are spots that need to be taken in midfield. We need workhorses who want to win the ball and have a point to prove. Unfortunately, Tom Mitchell just doesn't have the speed to go with his contested work ethic anymore. So I think he gets dropped next week. Just quickly, if you are enjoying this review, I will be doing a comprehensive analysis on Sunday, a video analysis at that. So please consider subscribing and stick around for that video. Moving on to some of our defenders who are really down bad in form, starting with Jeremy Howe. He's had 1 intercept mark over the last 2 weeks. And that is typically a pillar or a keystone of his game, to be able to intercept and also use the ball well coming outside of our defence, which is not doing well in both parameters at the moment. And then if you factor in that Jeremy Howe is not really a great one-on-one player, when you tie all those things in, when it's all not looking great, it really hinders Howe's ability to impact the game. So I want to get your thoughts, guys. What do you think we should do with Jeremy Howe? Forward, drop him, keep him there, you let me know. I'm interested to hear your thoughts. The next defender who's obviously been on the tip of everyone's tongue the last week or two, Darcy Moore. His intercepts are down from 3.6 last season to 2.7. I'm sure that will climb back up at some point, but it's more to do with his decision making. He is always on go, go, go. It's almost like he's in full throttle and he can't get out of that gear. I think sometimes you just need to take a breath and assess the situation rather than just making the decision to attack the ball player. He let Membry run off and play pretty much as a free man by himself all game. And I will talk to that in that video analysis that I'm going to do on Sunday as well. But it was really concerning. It almost seems like he lacks a bit of IQ when it comes to understanding what the most dangerous position is and who's the most dangerous player in the next play, which I'm not accustomed to seeing because typically he's really good at doing that. And I don't know if it's because we're being broken down more further down the track, and then we're being exposed on the way back for what our defensive capabilities truly are. I'm not too sure, but yeah, I think Darcy needs to have a look at some of the footage and be cognizant of the decisions these rash decisions he's making to push up the ground and leave players out the back. When I talk about defensive IQ, Isaac Quaynor probably lacking that a little bit now as well. Like I said, while we're being exposed, we're actually getting some great learning curves from this. We're being shown that some of these players, when we're under the pump, are lacking these little intelligent moments to make a decision to go, to stay, to be here, to be there. So lots of footage for the defensive team to consider moving into next week and the next 4 weeks, really. I just don't think it's going to be a quick fix if this is the way things are going to trend. Okay, on to the positives and solutions. As I mentioned before, Beau McCreary, what can we get from him in the midfield? Well, pressure acts, tackles, contested possessions. If you want to look at his pressure acts, 24.3 pressure acts across the 3 games this season, which has him in the top 5 for the league across the forwards in the league. So if we can get his will and desire into the midfield as is being trialled and tested in the preseason, I think that could be a way to change the way our game is going in the midfield and our lack of being able to apply pressure on the players in the mid and sticking with those players. In the preseason, I recall early in the games, he doesn't have a great effect in the midfield, but what was really noticeable was in the latter stages of the 3rd quarter and the entirety of the 4th quarter, he actually comes into his own where he's able to thrive on his fitness and his work ethic and his stamina. So I think that is something that will go a long way in the Collingwood midfield. I trust him to eventually pick up on the 1st and 2nd quarter and get involved much earlier. But I think we just need to throw him in now. Now is the perfect time. I thought Lipinski was absolutely outstanding all game long. His ability to cover the ground, along with his nous to know where to stand in a defensive position, helped him have an impact on the game. He had 8 intercept possessions, which was more than any player outside of the defenders, because obviously typically defenders get the most intercept possessions. Outside of that, between the mids and the forwards and the wings and the ruck, Paddy Lipinski had 8 intercept possessions, the most out of all of them. Along with his intercept possessions, he kicked 2 goals and had a really good game showing his preseason form. I think Billy Frampton was absolutely outstanding, and I'd been calling for him to start the season. I'm not too sure, obviously, what happened there, but I do know Fly probably really wants to try the likes of a Charlie Dean, and unfortunately that hadn't worked out. But now Frampton gets his opportunity, picks up 5 intercept marks, and that was something that I mentioned pre-season, that if Billy wants to take his game to the next level, he needs to start clunking these intercept marks. He averaged 1.3 last season, he had 5 intercept marks last night, and I would argue he broke even with Max King, who is arguably a top 5 key forward in the game. And so Billy had some really good moments where he won out on Max King, and Max King won out on Billy Frampton a couple of times. That's okay. I can take that. For Billy Frampton's first game of the year, coming into such a big game like that and does a job like that, that's a big tick. So while there are a lot of spot fires going on, that's a tick for Collingwood. The fact that Billy Frampton can do a job while Nathan Murphy is out. And in the long term, I think it does free up Darcy Moore. Darcy Moore obviously down in form, but once he starts to pick up his form, he's really going to thrive off the back of the fact that Billy Frampton is able to lock down the key forward. Scott Pendlebury is still him. Like I said, his trajectory is trending upwards this season. Contested possessions are up from 7 to 10. I know it's only a 3-game sort of sample size, but it still means something. And the most damning fact out of all this is he has the most ground ball gets out of any midfielder for Collingwood besides Nick Dacos. Let me say that again. He has more ground ball gets than any other midfielder or winger other than Nick Dacos for Collingwood. More than Jack Crisp, more than Geordie De Goey, more than Tom Mitchell. So his ability to put his head over the ball and be clean below the knees is something that the rest of the younger Pie players need to pick up. Another tick, Reef McInnes, 3 goals. Someone who I also thought would have started in lieu of maybe Ash Johnson at the start of this season. Not to be, however, it's happened now and Reef has paid dividends. That's another tick that we don't have to worry about moving forward. Reef, Billy Frampton, both going to be in the side next week. We don't have to worry about their performances for another week, as they did really well. And then I guess the question is, do we put Nick Dacos halfback? Quiet game, that's fine. I think if we can get the likes of Finn and Beau, Lockie Sullivan, Ed Allen down the track to really thrive in the midfield role, that will allow our best ball user to come off the halfback and get our transition game reinvigorated and revivified. Because when Collingwood are at our best, Nick Dacos was playing after halfback flank last season. While we wait for the video analysis on Sunday, if you want to see my thoughts on the game against Sydney, where our defence was lacking, our transition was lacking, have a look at this video here, and we'll see you guys on Sunday. Thank you. Bye.